I'm Chris Garcia, a Program Supervisor here at the Texas Veterans Commission in the Education Department, and I'm here to answer some of your questions. Okay, let's get started. Are you a veteran, and what branch of service did you serve in? Yes, I am a veteran, and I served in the Army. I did a total of 32 years between active duty and reserve. I like to say if I could wake up and do my life all over again in a loop, I would join the military every time. What's the biggest misconceptions veterans have about Hazelwood or GI Bill? Let's start first with the Hazelwood Act. Veterans tend to think that just because they left the military in the state of Texas or they spent a lot of time at a base here in Texas, that would make them a Texas veteran and it makes them eligible for Hazelwood. Well, that's not true. What makes you eligible for Hazelwood is you have to have joined from the state of Texas. Now, sometimes with Reserve and National Guard, if they are called up to active duty, and they are on active duty for 90 days or greater, they then become eligible for post 9/11 GI Bill, and they become Texas veterans because that period of time will produce a DD-214. GI Bill. Veterans tend to think that they can use their GI Bill at any program. Not all programs are approved for GI Bill. Most common is certificate programs at non-college degree schools or programs that are online, certificate programs that are online. The GI Bill can't be used at programs that are online at non-college degree schools. Now, if you are at an IHL and the program is online as a part of your degree, that can be used. You can use your GI Bill for that, but not if you're at a non-college degree school. So that's a little bit of where they get confused is what type of program can they use their GI Bill? What should a veteran do first if they want to start using their educational benefits? The first thing is go to your school. If you're using your educational benefits to seek higher education, you need to go to the school certifying official to ensure the program that you want to enroll in is a program that's approved. Sometimes a school, if it's a program that they've had, but they've never had a veteran in it, or it's new to their catalog and they haven't sought approval for it, a veteran will enroll in it and realize the certifying official can't certify it because it hasn't been approved yet. So talk to the certifying official about the program that you want to enroll in and ensure it is one that you can use your GI Bill at. What are some education benefits available to spouses and dependents, family members that they may not know about? This is a really good one because as of August 1st of 2023, if the veteran becomes 100% permanently and totally disabled on or after August 1st of 2023, their dependents now get Chapter 35. The good thing about that is your dependents no longer age out. So if the veteran were deemed 100% permanently and totally disabled July 31st of 2023, their dependents would age out at age 26. So they need to make a decision about their benefit and use it or lose it at age 26. But for veterans that are 100% after that date, your dependents, no matter what their age is now entitled to Chapter 35, and they do not age out. As a veteran, 100% permanent and totally, my children who are in their 40s and 30s now get Chapter 35 benefit, and they have that benefit for the rest of their lives to use up those 36 months. My husband is a Texas veteran because he joined from the state of Texas. So our children now also get their own 150 hours worth of Hazelwood entitlement. So the veteran becoming 100% permanently and totally disabled opens up a lot of opportunities for the dependents. As with post 9/11, the veteran can also transfer that benefit to the spouse or the children, but the veteran must do that before they leave active duty, and they must transfer at least one day to their dependent before leaving active duty. Oh, this is a really good one. What's the difference between Montgomery GI Bill and the post 9/11 GI Bill, and how do veterans know which is better for them? Well, that's going to really depend on the type of program you want to enroll in. Under the Montgomery GI Bill, Chapter 30 is what it's called, veterans, when you were on active duty, you contributed about $600 to what is called the top-up. That meant when you decided to use your benefit, you got a little bit of extra money in addition to the normal housing that you would get for the full-time rate. If you choose post 9/11 GI Bill, you just get the rate based on the zip code of your school. So which should I use? It's going to depend on whether you're going to a private school or a state school. If you're going to a private school, you may find that the post 9/11 is a better fit for you because most IHLs in private schools have what's called yellow ribbon. So if the amount of the GI Bill doesn't cover your tuition and fees, a school will match that and contribute yellow ribbon funds so that most veterans don't have a bill. If you are going, and that's only under post 9/11, if you have Montgomery GI Bill, you may want to use a state school because your housing allowance under Montgomery GI Bill, if you got that kicker, is going to be higher than the housing allowance for the zip code that you're in most cases. So basically, you're going to have to look at the type of school that you want to attend, whether it's private or public. Look at how much is the housing allowance under post 9/11 for the zip code that that school is in? Does that school participate in yellow ribbon? And how much do they participate in yellow ribbon if you're going to use post 9/11? And then if you're going to a state school, verify the amount that you will get in your housing allowance in addition to your kicker. So it really depends on the type of school that you're going to attend and the amount of housing that you get. Can veterans use both post 9/11 GI Bill and the Hazelwood Act together? The answer to that is yes and no. If the veteran qualifies for post 9/11, but not at the 100% level, and the veteran is a Texas veteran, meaning they joined the military from the state of Texas, so when you look at their discharge document, the DD-214, the home of record says somewhere in Texas. They are then eligible for Hazelwood. So if you don't qualify at the 100% level, say this is a veteran that qualified at the 50%, you can use post 9/11 for the 50%, and you could use Hazelwood for the other 50% of your tuition. If you have post 9/11 and you're at the 100% level, you must exhaust all of that post 9/11 before you can use your Hazelwood benefit. Are educational benefits only for college, or can they also be used for trade schools, certifications, and apprenticeships? Not all veterans have dependents. Not all veterans want to go to college. So what I would say, look at your employer to see if your employer is willing to participate in the on-the-job training program or the apprenticeship program. So let's first discuss OJT, on-the-job training. These are jobs that will take anywhere from 6 months to a year to complete. Typically, look at your law enforcement or your fire academies or your EMT academies. You can learn those skills within 6 months to a year. Those are OJTs. Very easy to get approved. You just need to have the employer reach out to the state approving agency. Very simple process, very simple application. Apprenticeship programs. Those are much longer. It's going to take for a person to reach the journeyman level. They will probably need to train anywhere from 2 to 8 years, just depending on what the job is. Also, a very simple process to get approved through the state approving agency. So I would say, if you're going to transition to a job out of the military, talk to that employer. And if they don't know what you're talking about, have them reach out to us. We are dedicated to helping employers get through the process because we want more veterans to use their benefit if they don't want to go to college and don't have dependents to transfer it to use their benefits and not let it go to waste. If the certification is a national or state certification or license, you'll go to the GI Bill comparison tool, and if you see the license that you want, say for nursing, they want to do the NCLEX. You go, you look, you see that it is approved for the GI Bill, then you can go and take that test, and the VA will reimburse you the cost of the test. When they reimburse you the cost of a test, it takes, depending on the cost of it, it takes months of entitlement off of your GI Bill. So they do reimburse you, but you do lose GI Bill entitlement when you go through the reimbursement process. If that test or the license or certification is approved by the VA and you need to take a prep course to get ready to take that, VA will also pay for the prep course. Again, you would get the receipt, submit that to the VA, and depending on the price is how much entitlement that you will lose. We talked a little bit earlier about certification programs. Be very careful with this. There are a lot of programs that are online, and you can get your certificates pretty much really easy through online programs. You cannot use your GI Bill at a program that is online. All of your program, if it is at a non-college degree program, must be taught in resident. If you're getting a certification that is a part of a degree program at an institution of higher learning, you can use your GI Bill for that, but you need to talk to the school certified official to ensure that that program has been approved by our office. What are the most common mistakes veterans make when applying for educational benefits? Not completing the application correctly. That delays the processing time. Not knowing what program you want to enroll in, not doing your homework on the program, but mostly it's not completing the application correctly and submitting it and waiting then for VA to come back and tell you there's something wrong with it. So read the questions, have the documentation ready that they're asking for, and select the type benefit that you want to use. If a veteran separated years ago, is it too late to start using their educational benefits? Yes. When you say years ago, if you were under the Montgomery GI Bill, you have 10 years from the time you leave the military to use that benefit or it goes away. If you had the post 9/11 GI Bill, you had 15 years to use that benefit before it would go away. In 2017, we call it the Forever GI Bill. Veterans transitioning out of the military after 2017 fall under the Cole-Mary Act, which gives it the Forever GI Bill. It doesn't expire for the veteran. So it depends on, one, when you left the military and which benefit type you have. Now, if the veteran happens to have any % disability, you could also look at using vocational readiness and employment. You may have benefit under that program if you no longer have any of the other educational benefits. The VA also has a program that's called Vet Tech. That is also for veterans that want to get into the high-tech fields and they have no other benefit left. There are some qualifications for that. You could go to the GI Bill website and look up Vet Tech 2 and get information on that particular program. Does Hazelwood Act work for children of veterans and who qualifies? So, yes, if you are a Texas veteran and you join the military from some hometown Texas, yes, your dependents are eligible for Hazelwood under the legacy, not the spouse, just the children. The veteran is entitled to 150 hours under the legacy program. You can split that between your children, again, not the spouse, but between the children. But no two children can use it at the same time, nor can the veteran use it at the same time that the child is using it. And everyone is using the same 150 hours. So you don't get extra for each person. You just have the same 150 and everybody splits it between. Now, I said earlier, if the veteran becomes 100% permanently and totally disabled, then all dependents, to include the spouse, becomes eligible for the Chapter 35 benefit, which gives them 36 months worth of educational benefit to be used in higher education or OJT and apprenticeships. But if the veteran is a Texas veteran, all three or all of the dependents, to include the spouse, now get their own set of 150 hours. Caveat to that. If the dependents were using the veteran's Hazelwood and say they use 30 hours under the veteran's Hazelwood legacy, they now are eligible for their own set of 150 because the veteran became 100% permanently and totally disabled. They don't get 150, they get less that 30. So they would only have 120 hours to use. So that's a little caveat to that. If you've used it under the veteran, then you don't get the full 150 on your own. But if you haven't used it, you get your own set. Each dependent, to include the spouse, gets their own set of 150 hours to use at public schools. One piece of advice you would give every transitioning service member about educational benefits before leaving the military. If it is your intent to go to college, work with the school certifying official to first ensure that the program that you want to enroll in is approved by the state approving agency. The school certifying official knows that. If you want to transfer post 9/11 GI Bill, ensure that you do at least one day to every dependent before you leave active duty. If you're going to transition and you know that you're going directly into the workforce, work with the employer to determine if they qualify if they've applied for the OJT or apprenticeship program. And if they haven't, maybe encourage them to reach out to our office to find out how they go about getting approved. I work with apprenticeships and OJT employers all day, every day. And they are almost all willing if you bring on a veteran, because everyone loves the veteran. And employers want to hire veterans because we've got good work standards, and we're pretty much easy to go with the flow. And we're going to show up to work. So employers like hiring veterans. So they don't really complain much when they reach out, when the veteran reaches out and says, hey, do you know about this program? They will contact us. So know what it is that you want to do. Do your research on what it is that you want to do and be successful.